people, they struggle with it because they only look at it from a personal perspective, and they're not thrilled with the chitter-chatter that's going on social media. They kind of fail to realize the big picture, which is hundreds of millions of people on this thing. It's an incredible pool of possibility, and it's really online traffic that's, it can be utilized and driven to your website or a landing page, etc. So that's what we talked about last week, and I kind of ended it with saying, once you start to think like an entrepreneur and you start to realize the potential, the next step in the process is to figure out a strategy so that you can influence these people, project yourself to be the expert for whatever you do, and obviously continue to touch these people on a consistent basis. And for most of your businesses, it's always a numbers game. How many people can you touch? And if you can touch them on a consistent basis, obviously you're going to get some sort of result from it. And that's something that I have been doing for a long time and had really good results with. So really what we want to talk about today is having a good posting strategy. And what I'm going to try to do is give you some concepts that you can think about while you're posting. Because to be honest, everyone's going to have a different posting strategy. If there was just some sort of blueprint I could give you, I'd be a billionaire. But there isn't. There is a few concepts that you have to consider, and then, like I said, customize it for your own business and how you're going to, obviously try to influence your clients. But I think the most common questions I get are these 4 simple questions. What should I be posting? What types of content? When should I be posting? What time of day? Do I post every day? Where should I be posting? Should I be posting on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest? And of course, how should my posts look? So those are always the 4 main questions I get. And hopefully today I can kind of give you some tools to be able to answer those questions for yourself. I think where it starts is what I call the 3 C's. Okay? So for all of these questions, you should be thinking about the 3 C's when you think about them. And the 3 C's are really simple. Using common sense, which I would say is the most important of the C's, being creative, and being consistent. If you keep those 3 words in your brain when you're trying to use social media and try to formulate what you should be posting, you're going to do okay. It's when you stray from those things is when I see people struggling. And what I mean is with common sense, let me kind of flip back. Well, you know what? Let me keep going. I'm sorry. So those are really the 3 things you want to keep in your mind. And as we talk about these 4 questions, I'll reiterate which ones you should be utilizing. So the first question always is, what should I be posting, right? And it doesn't really matter if you're selling, obviously, products, if you're selling consulting. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the goal is to obviously be projecting yourself to be the expert in that line of work. And where you want to use the 3 C's is obviously, 1, you want to be consistent. And what that means is you probably should be posting almost on a daily basis, right? 2, you want to use some common sense. So what that means is you don't want to be soliciting. I find that that's always a troubled path to go down. You don't want to come across as a zealot or crazy. And people say, well, what does that mean? Obviously, some of you guys sell insurance. I've seen some people post some pretty crazy things about the government, about Obama. Though we might agree with your opinion, it's not something that really makes sense from a professional standpoint. So, in my opinion, what you want to implement is a healthy balance of content. I would say if you're breaking it down, 33% of the time you want to be trying to promote your business. You want to kind of let people know without soliciting what you specialize in, why you're the best, what makes you unique, what makes you different. And again, you want to try to stay away from the soliciting of specific products and services. So if you're kind of struggling, let's say you have already created your business pages for LinkedIn and for Facebook. Let's just focus on those 2 right now, okay? Facebook and LinkedIn. Not your personal pages, your business pages. I would focus on posting on those. I would say if you're posting, let's say, 5 days a week, maybe once or twice a week, you want to kind of try to promote your business, okay? And that might mean just kind of saying like, hey, look, we specialize in, we specialize in employee benefits. We're experts at understanding compliance for healthcare reform. Make sure you visit our website to, review our compliance resource center. To me, that's a promotional post. You're not soliciting anything. You're kind of just projecting yourself to be the guru, and most importantly, kind of trying to drive them to your website. So 33% of the time, I would try to promote your business. The next 33% of the time, so maybe 2 times again a week, I would suggest trying to what I call project yourself to be the expert. So this might mean like tips, articles, updates, just things that let people know you're on top of your game. And I'm going to give you an example of what you want to try to stay away from. But I think at the end of the day, that's always a real safe type of thing to post. Obviously there may be deadlines, there may be updates, or maybe things occurring in your industry. What you want to do is you want to just kind of emphasize those things and let people be alerted of them. But on the flip side, you also want to make sure that you are physically posting these things yourself. So what does that mean? Well, here's an example of an insurance agency. And, these guys, they work hard, they try. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to show an example of things you want to stay away from. If you look at each post, what they're doing is they're sharing different articles. So what the scenario is they're probably going to a variety of websites. And it looks like this guy is mostly on Medicare Made Clear. They're going to that website. They're finding an article that they like, and on that actual website, they're hitting the share button. And what it does is it automatically posts that blog or that link on their business page. So what's happening is it's not like they're coming to the page and physically typing in this article. They're going to another website on the internet, and they're clicking the share button. I would stay away from doing that because what happens is, though the information is good, and though this guy is kind of promoting, he's projecting himself to be the expert, right? In the end, he's losing what's called the viral aspect of social media. And one of the things that, if you go to any type of class, they're going to tell you, you want to be typing the stuff yourself. So without trying to confuse you guys, what you would want to do in that situation is, let me see if I can pull it up. I probably should have had this up before, guys, but let's see here if I can pull it up. Medicare Made Clear, right? What you want to do is you want to go to that website that you're finding the good information on, and rather than hitting the share button, which you'll kind of see all over the site, you want to take the link that's in the top right. You want to take the address, go back to your social media page, here's mine, and you want to paste it in, and what it'll do is it will pull up that article, but also it'll let you type information above that article. So my point is find a good article, put it into your page, but then summarize it for the people. Say, hey, look, this is a great article from Medicare Made Clear. It really reviews the differences between Part A and Part B. If you're confused, go ahead and read this article. Because now what you're doing is you're projecting yourself to be the expert on those services. And, the people are seeing your words. It's not just like you're sharing this article and people are forgetting about you and going to the article. So that's very important. I could probably do a whole hour on that alone, but it's just a concept you want to keep in mind. When you're posting stuff, I really want you guys to be typing the stuff yourself. If you're finding articles, that's fine. Put the articles in, but make sure you type a little overview about the article so it projects you to be the expert. And then the final type of post you should be implementing is just being creative. I call it showing your personality. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they struggle with this. They're scared to kind of open that door because they want to keep business, and they don't want to show any weakness, which isn't a bad thing. But on the flip side, as we think back to kind of the history of selling, it's about kind of, people tend to do business with other people that they find they have things in common with. And I think we've lost that art a little bit in selling. So in my opinion, there's kind of no shame in letting people know that, hey, you watched the NFL playoffs this weekend and, you were really bummed out that the Cowboys lost or whatever. I mean, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in typing that maybe once in a while that you're playing golf or you're looking forward to it or you You know, you had a hole-in-one, or, you know, maybe you love cooking and you have a great recipe. Those things, you know, once a week are not bad. They're good. They show that you have creativity. They show a little deeper part about you and you know, your skill set. And I feel that those things do help you. Now, on the flip side, I wouldn't be doing it every day. You know, I wouldn't get too personal, but, you know, try to show your personality a little bit. So those are kind of my tips and kind of an overview on what you should actually be posting, what types of content. You know, when and where should you be posting? Like I said, I think you should focus on Facebook and LinkedIn, your business pages for that right now. You know, from a time standpoint, this is where common sense comes in. Again, the 3 C's. I had one client, she would wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and she would post because she wanted to use that other C. She wanted to be consistent, right? So she took the consistent a little too far and would wake up at 5 a.m. every morning and post. The problem is social media, the best way I can put it is it doesn't build up like email. It's not like you post at 5 a.m. and everybody sees it throughout the day. It doesn't work like that. Social media is flowing, right? So it's, you know, it's constantly moving and constantly flowing on people's tickers, right? I mean, here's kind of my ticker, right? It's flowing. So if you post at 5 a.m. and I don't come on the computer till 2 o'clock, I'm going to have to scroll down really far to see your post. And I think she didn't understand that, but that's one of the things I'm trying to explain. Use common sense. Understand that social media flows. It doesn't build up. So you want to be posting when you know a lot of people are on their computer looking at it. And from a common sense standpoint, if you're targeting people who are in businesses, it's probably lunchtime. It's probably, you know, early in the morning when they're having breakfast, or later in the evening when they're sitting on their couch looking at their iPad. You got to put that into consideration and use common sense. You know, it doesn't make sense to be posting when probably a lot of people aren't on the computer. Keeping that thought in play here, like I said, social media doesn't build up. It flows. And one of the most common complaints I get from people is they'll say, I can't post 5 days a week. That's way too much. That's overkill. People are going to get sick of me. To be honest, 5 days a week, once a day, that's like nothing. You'll be, you know, to be honest, probably have a 25% chance that people are going to see your post. Really, it's not that much at all. If you start to really think about the amount of volume flowing and your one little post, it's very minuscule. So to say that 5 days a week is too much, it's actually completely dead wrong. That's not the case at all. I mean, I wouldn't post 50 times a day, but I don't think there's any harm in posting 2 or 3 times a day. I mean, I think that's where we're heading towards because the volume keeps increasing. So like I said, use common sense with when to post. You know, how should your posts look? Obviously, you want to be creative here. Here's where the creative comes in. You want to use common sense as well. You want things to look professional, but you also want things to stand out because remember, you're competing against other posts. So if you look at my posts, you know, some of them are kind of creative. You know, I use kind of some fun pictures that definitely stand out because when I'm posting, people aren't reading the posts on this page. They're seeing my posts amongst other posts. So that's why it's important that I use some of these custom pictures so my posts are sticking out and maybe I get a read that I wouldn't have gotten without it. So keep that in mind. When you're posting, make sure that you use graphics, but also, you know, play around with things. Be creative. You know, there's no harm in trying different things. You know, sometimes I do post without graphics. You know, I try and I experiment and I try to find the right recipe for me. Because like I said early on in today's webinar, there isn't an exact blueprint for everybody. Everybody kind of has their own version of what it's going to take to be successful. But I think the key to the whole concept is, you know, using some common sense, being creative, and being consistent. If you can keep those 3 things in play, you're going to be in really good shape.